there was a president of a big bank in Israel, and he started to become more observant, but he didn't feel so comfortable with it. He was afraid of people's reactions, and all of a sudden they would see that he's becoming religious. So he didn't really know what to do, because one day he brought his lunch to work, and he knew that he had to put a kippah on his head because he needed to say a blessing over the food. But again, he was afraid of people watching him and seeing him and laughing at him. Well, at that same instant, someone from the bank, a customer, a very wealthy customer, a very respectable customer, came in, and he was holding bags of change and bills, and he had to make a deposit. But all of a sudden, the bags opened up, and all this change and all the bills were just flying, rolling all over the floor of the bank. And here this very respectable person got down on his hands and knees, and he was going around trying to collect the money. Now, the president of the bank looked at him, and in the one hand, it seemed like such a ridiculous scene. I mean, this very honorable and respectable person, a wealthy man, on his hands and knees collecting all this money from the floor. But then he realized, he looked around, nobody was laughing, and he realized it's because, of course he's collecting his money, because he knows the value of the money. What is he supposed to do? Just let it just sit there and just leave it there? Of course, when something is important, you have to do whatever it takes. So he got down on his hands and knees. Well, this person, the president of the bank, he realized that the mitzvahs that he wants to keep are so important. They're much more valuable than the money. So he said to himself, why should I be embarrassed of putting on a kippah to say a bracha, to say a blessing? And this is what got him over that little hump to feel comfortable with his spirituality. Now, we have to realize that the Jewish people are spiritual beings. That's who we are. That is our makeup. And we see it this week in the Parsha, because Avraham is told by Hashem that he's going to have a son. And he promises Avraham and Sarah that they're going to have a child to carry on the Jewish people. And what do? They both laugh, because they say, well, how can these two old people, Abraham's almost 100 years old and Sarah's almost 90, how can they have a child? How can they have a baby? And Hashem says, no, you're going to have a child, and I want you to name him Yitzchak, the name for laughter. Now, what was Hashem telling Avraham and Sarah? That they should name their child after the laughter that they did after they were promised for a child. And Hashem was telling them that he knew this laughter, it came from a point of like, this whole situation is absurd. How can this old couple have a baby? This is ridiculous. The people they're going to look at them and they're going to say, look at these two old people and they have a little baby. It seems so absurd. But the Jewish people don't live according to nature, according to the laws of nature. They live above nature. They live with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu's desire and it's his will, then it's going to happen. And that's what Hashem was teaching Avraham and Sarah, that I want him to have a name that will demonstrate that the Jewish people are above nature. They have a special relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We live beyond all the odds. And we see it today. We see it playing out in today and in all of Jewish history. Because we are not, according to the laws, the regular laws of nature, we are not supposed to be around. But yet, this is what makes us unique. Our spirituality, our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We live above nature. And that's our power, that's our ability, that's our beauty. And it's only there if we appreciate it and we realize it and we use it to grow and develop our relationship with Hashem.